This is an official presentation of SDR Insider. Welcome to Mac and Zach in the Morning, your home for all things sales, business development, and beyond. With over 4 decades of combined experience in the field, please welcome your hosts and daily practitioners of the craft, Mark Mack and Zach Bauer.
Oh,
Here we are.
We're
on.
You know, I'm always trying to imagine, like, you know, when you recorded that, like, and then I imagine like what that person looks like, that guy.
Yeah.
And it's like an emotion of your face, like Mac and Zach in the morning. Fucking awesome. Four decades make me feel old, man. Fucked up. But hey, good morning, everybody. If whoever's watching, if there's nobody watching, that's cool. We got
all 4 of you.
We got.
I think one of them is me.
That's okay, man. We had some good ones. We'll get it back going. We got to do a little bit more promotions. I think I want to do, like I was telling you a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, you know, I want to do like call in, kind of cold call in or something like that, or maybe the guests will do a cold call, like a live role play with us, and then the audience could decide on if they win or not, and then we could give them some SDR Insider swag, which I'm working on. You know, I gotta get a printer and that kind of thing for the shirt. Hey, there he is. Nice. Whoop, 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 whoop. Huge guest this morning coming in from, I don't know, is he in New York? Is he in LA? Oh, he's in Brooklyn.
Drum roll going.
All right, let's bring him in.
What's up, everybody? Pardon the delay. My gym this morning took a little extra. I was a little slower, but I was really excited. Of course, I get a call at 7:55 a.m. from somebody. I asked to call me at 7:15. We know how that goes.
Of course.
That's wild. I thought you were on the West Coast. I thought you might have gone to Sastra, or I saw you just post something about being at CMS.
So the funny thing is, I should probably be at 2 different conferences, but I'm home. I'm speaking at CMX conference, which is overlapping Sastra, and yeah, it's because my partner's birthday was Tuesday, and I wanted to be with her, and we're going to be going away tomorrow upstate. So I'm like, what? I'm gonna go back and forth coast to coast for 1 to 2 days and have a decent chance with the way the airlines are working nowadays.
No way.
Missing a flight, not my fault, right? Like, first time ever, being wrong, not my fault. Like, I didn't want to set myself up for failure. So I'm speaking virtually, and I'm giving virtual high fives to everyone at Sastra. I'll be at Dreamforce next week, though, to make up.
Where's that? San Fran also? It's
San Fran. So Sastra is right outside San Francisco, San Mateo. Dreamforce is right in the city, and we're doing it lean style, early stage style, meaning we'll be parking at a hotel in the area, Marriott Marquis, setting up shop, doing outbound for meetings to the hotel, not at Dreamforce, which is like 1 block away. And nobody wants to meet on the floor, right? Like, unless you have like a big booth. Assuming you don't have a booth, what are you gonna do? Just meet standing up somewhere, or like park it at somebody else's? Might as well have like an area that you run, that you show up at like 8 a.m. for, 7 a.m. for if you need to, and have like the best spot in a chill area where you could buy somebody a coffee or a cocktail. On your terms.
I thought you meant outside, like RV style, like you guys would be setting up tailgating. No. That would be cool.
Yeah, that's right up my alley.
I'd be open to it, but no, we're doing it lean style. RV would probably be more expensive. Ironically, this will just cost us probably 42 coffees in a day.
Right on. Yeah, that's cool. So what is it? Is Dreamforce like in an event space, like normal, like a hotel?
Yeah. So truth be told, I haven't been to a Dreamforce. I don't think. I'm 99% sure. There's like 250,000 people.
Well, who runs
going
that?
To San Francisco.
That's what? That's like
Salesforce. It's Salesforce's annual conference. So I was doing the math while I was rolling around in bed last night. I'm like, okay, the ticket's $2,000. Let's say with early bird and whatever, it averages to 1,000, right? Like $12.99 was the early bird. Some people are getting in for free. Understood. Let's say that $1,000 is the average price. So there's 100,000 people that actually go in, like 250,000 in the city. Let's say under half of them actually go in, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was more. Let's do the quick math on that. What's $1,000 times 100,000 people?
It's 10 million.
That math is it 10 or is it 100?
It's
100.
No, it's 10
100
million. 10 million.
It's 10 million. All right. That
100,000 times 1,000 is 10 million.
Yeah. So let me do the zeros here. 100.
Oh, it may not be. It is an error. It could be 100 million.
So
my old school calculator does not go up that high.
It's 100. It's 100 million. Everybody. It's 100 million. Assuming 1,000. So think about that. I bet everybody listening to this show's startup does less than that. I bet. There's the one person say, I work for a deal. Got it. Understood. You win. Actually, you might not, because your value is more than that, but your revenue is right at
$100 million on just a show is like unbelievable, and it's way more than that. But they're also paying.
It's way more. So that's not even sponsors.
Right.
That's pre-sponsors.
But they also have the venue. Do you know what it's like to have that whatever Santa Monica freaking Terradome, whatever they're doing it in? I don't know.
So let's assume they drop 10 million on it. I don't think they're dropping 20.
Yeah.
Right? Like if someone gave you $10 million, you could throw pretty much any event on earth that you wanted to, couldn't you?
Somebody gave me $10 million, you would never hear from me again. I'd be gone.
Unless you had the opportunity to turn it to 100, Mark, then
I don't even give a shit. I don't have that many years. I'm gone. I'm up buying an island, and you'll never see me again.
So what's funny? That number in particular, 10 million. I spoke to Andrew Gazdecki of MicroAcquire, right? Like phenomenal startup marketplace for like bootstrapped founders, right? The startups tend to go from between 20,000 and let's say $20 million, like not more, not maybe a little less, like that range. Probably not even 20 million, probably more like 5. And he's like, Jared, what's your number? I'm like, I don't know, like a number to be able to not do anything again. And he goes, okay, here's the deal. To do that, $10 million. Actually, to do that, 5 million.
I say 5. My number is 5.
He said the difference between 5 and 10 is faster cars and bigger houses. That's it.
Right. That's right.
So he's like, over 10, he's like, 10 million is officially fuck you money. But like 5, you're good. You're good. So think about getting, if you're a founder and starting a business and you want to grow this big venture and all of this, get 5 million in your pocket, because then what that allows you to do, assuming that like I'm going to be 40, assuming I have 20 more years that I could go like hard as an entrepreneur, and then I want to like fade into twilight. I could probably do more than that, right? But let's say 20. That could be another 10 ventures, right? Like it could be 20 ventures if I'm failing fast. And he's like, what that does is that gives you comfort so that your next one, you could shoot for the moon. So he was telling me, his goal with MicroAcquire, super cool. Like he genuinely wants to help people. Like the first one, the second startup, he genuinely wanted to get that 5 to 10 million. He was honest. He's like, and now that he has it, he's like, I'm taking VC money now because I can't do it without that. So now I'm like, we're valued at like 80 million or whatever. He's like, I'm shooting for a unicorn because like I see this massive gap in startups not being able to be acquired that actually have revenue. Mm-hmm. And he's squashing that. How cool is that?
That's awesome. I mean,
it was just like the realest conversation. He's like, the difference between 5 and 10 million is faster cars and bigger houses. Over 10, you don't need.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's also that, like, like say for me, if it takes me another 10 years to get to the 5 million or the 7 million or whatever, I mean, I still have several years after that, I hope, like at least of life. but how much of it do I really want? I think at that level, though, it doesn't become work. It becomes work, but it's not like I don't feel like I'm going to be like I can do those things, right? Like I can work with other people and I could get, and I mean, you said, oh, he can't take your own money. Well, yeah, because first of all, if you have 5 million, when I say 5 million, like for me, it has to be 5 million cash in the bank, liquid. I'm retired, if I want to be, right? If it's above that, then I think that's where I would want to still be in the game and still want to continue to, because I think that level of money, you could really help people and really do things, that make an impact. So
now I don't have anywhere close to that, which is why the fire's there. But I could start seeing like the game a certain way,
right,
so to speak. So like, why would I keep going? Like, let's say RevGenius sold tomorrow for 5 million. Like,
yeah, but no one's going to give you 5 million cash for it. So you'd have some stock, you'd have some whatever.
You don't know the numbers, but yes, understood, right? Like, because we are profitable, we do generate revenue, a good amount, and all of that.
No, I didn't mean that. I just meant like most companies, when they're getting bought, they're usually at some level of cash and stock.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes there's a sliding scale, right? Depending on the amount of risk that the founder wants. So it might be 4 million cash or 5, like the extra with equity. Absolutely.
Right.
But let's assume that happens tomorrow. And I'm good. I'm already thinking like some gaps I see in the space right now. I'm thinking about side hustles I want to build right now because these gaps are so massive and so interesting. Not just massive, but interesting. So like if that ended tomorrow, I would just be getting started. And like honestly, because now what's taken off my mind are shackles, right? Because I'm fucking scared to death right now, right? Like you give me a chance to do it and not be scared to death. Oh, that's fun, Mark. Yeah. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people do it again, because the first go around they're scared to death. Like am I gonna have to lay people off? Am I going to go out of business? Am I not as cool as I thought I was? Like all these storylines, some are true, some are made up in your head or going on. You can't have 5 days in a row of complete solace. No. And so to have that opportunity, and I'm not saying like you're gonna have all that solace, but like to do it with that comfort, psychological comfort, because like you figured out the game plan, so to speak, and you're just rinsing and repeating to some extent. Yeah. Mark, that's fun. Like, what do you want to do after you have 5 million? You want to have fun, probably, and you probably want to be active. And
depends on how fast I get there.
So the people, so from the founder standpoint, like you learn so much, assuming like you're still going, like assuming you're still in the game, you learn so much that I want to just put it into my next thing. Like I already know how to move faster. I know the right people to bring day one, and I've already surrounded myself with them, right?
Yeah.
And
well, I think that's a point you were almost making, which is you might be scared in that first venture and it might work out, but it's like you learn so much being thrusted into it for a like that crushed up period of time that like all of a sudden now you could breathe and you're like, oh, I want to do it again and I know how to do it better and I won't make the same mistakes and and now I have more people around me that could support me so it could grow even faster, bigger. I guess that's 100%. Even like how Dean. I imagine that's how, like when I had a conversation with Dean at Celex, he. The first conversation I had with him, his ambition, his energy was so infectious. It was like $1 million valuation, $1 billion valuation. The second time I talked to him,
we hit it off. We hit it
$1 billion valuation, $1 trillion valuation. I was like,
dude. he's got a little crazy Eddie in him, but we hit it off when we met. But also, what's funny? As you were talking, I was thinking, why are you more excited? Like the psychological shackles. We talk about tech debt. When you build systems with just like shabbily, right? And then at the end, you're like, okay, I can't run a CRM off Airtable anymore. I need to figure out how to move it to Salesforce or at least HubSpot. I can't do this anymore. Like there's a startup debt, right? Like in the beginning of your first startup or maybe it's your first or like the first one that you're doing full time, I should say. Side hustles might be the exception, where you don't notice it or feel it, right? But you feel it full time. There's a debt from like all sorts of setup things, all sorts of people that you brought on, all sorts of ways that you structured the company that you wish you did it.
It's some of it puts you, some of it
weird
can put
agreements you got to do.
Some of it could put you in the hole too. I mean, we know some people personally that spent money where they probably shouldn't have, and it caused a lot of problems for them long term. You know, where they couldn't make do on other payments because they just spent. I mean, how many companies do we know that, you know, got even, and I'm not even talking about an investment, like, because this was pre-investment, but like people who get that investment and then all of a sudden it's like it's gone. Like, how do you go from, you get 100 million last year and now you got 200 million? What happened to the first 100 million? Like, you know, it's I'm not those companies probably succeeded well enough. They need the extra two to go and further, but I'm just saying, like, there are plenty of companies who take $10 million and blow it, you know.
There are. There's also plenty of companies that take $10 million
and turn it
and start to blow it and have investors tell them what they need to do with it. So they pocket 5 of them, which also means 50 people are let go. That scenario happens more often than not. It's happening now more often than not, I should say.
So I had a question for you because we thought you were on the West Coast too, first off, for the show. So I'm glad you're on the East Coast, not waking up at like bummer. 5 in the morning. But
I was thinking, that would be crazy.
I was thinking that, like, with all the stuff you got going on at RevGenius, and God knows how many other people want access to you. I mean, like, do you manage your own inbox, like your email inbox or your Slack inbox? I mean, for Christ's sakes, it must. How do you keep up with that?
Nonstop.
So I do. Man, you know what's funny? Some days, like this week has been a light week for me because everyone's at SaaStr with their mind elsewhere. So there's some days like I just get into the business and do like a lot of shit. Like I'm you know, we're still early and dirty, so to speak, where I'm going in and I'm working on the business, working in the business and on the business at the same time, and just helping the team through to like execute the vision.
I mean, I would have thought you need a VA.
Easy. It's easier than you think. It's easier. Yeah, I probably do need a VA. I don't.
I mean, just to get.
I don't have the time to
how
create
much
the SOP for them to operate.
Well, that's what I mean. Like
that's 22.
Okay, so there's 29,000 people in RevGenius. You know, you're a figurehead, and people trust your opinions and things. So you probably have a little bit of that coming through the channels. Like, hey, Jared, what do you think of this? Or, hey, Jared, can you introduce me to this? And then you probably have these categories that like you could put each of your messages in, and then you've got your, you know, people who you're really close with, your partners, your investors, your sponsors, and then you've got members at RevGenius, like the smallest person over here, but like their stuff is just as important. You know, you want to answer that because that's the kind of person you are. So it's like, how do you make sure you answer the priority ones and yet still, because you do a really good job of it. Everybody talks about how you always have time for them. So how is it that you are able to compartmentalize those things?
Mark, I don't know if I compartmentalize those things, but I do all of those things. It might just be every which way. And I was given a gift of hustle, like apparently nobody has, like in terms of moving speed and just getting stuff done. Like right now, like on this call, like, hey, I just created a full database, like the call's over, like that type of stuff. Yeah, I just move really fast, and I've learned to do that because before I knew marketing, all I knew was sales, and I had worked for early stage companies, and I was one myself without a marketing department per se. So sales just had to like boom, 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 and I don't mean sequencing 2,000 people. I mean like, sure, that could be part of it, but also really doing a lot. Like so like when I ran a magazine, I was using sequencer tools to reach out for PR. When I, like I was using like Yesware to get Yesware at the time. Couldn't afford outreach with our startup. Just was on the 30-day free plans. Couldn't even afford the $30 a month one.
I use that one. I use Yesware.
Yesware was great, right?
Yeah.
So I on the one hand, I was just thinking how, and shit, pardon me. I have a water boiling here.
Boiling over.
Yeah, you hear that?
It's boiling over.
It was just boiling over. The heat is off.
Gotta put a wooden
Still
spoon.
sounds like it's boiling over. Hold on.
You gotta love the brick wall in New York City, Brooklyn. It's always a classic thing. You and replace.
So essentially, how I taught myself growth was just doing sales in different areas, right? So like sales is outbound for a prospect. Got it. Can I do outbound to get PR? Yeah, I could. Could I do outbound to get guests on a podcast, like sequencing? Yes, I could. Could I do outbound to get speaking spots? So I was just taking the same thing I did in sales, and I was applying it to everything. And you know what, Mark and Zach? This is the biggest fucking hack, because if you're good at it, you're going to be better than people that's their jobs to do PR.
Mm-hmm.
That's their jobs, because half of it is just reaching out with a certain finesse. So now I built this bandwidth of just doing more, right? And I'm learning marketing by brute force. When I started RevGenius, I'm like, okay, how do I get? I started being obsessed with like just getting as many members in, just because like Dale Z was like yelling at me too, and I'm like, okay, fine. He was like being my boss, and I was literally manually, not even automated, reaching out to 300 members or prospective members a day and sending messages. And the reason why I was doing it manually and not automated, and this is key, I was sending the same message 95% of the time. I was just changing the name manually.
Sure.
You could do it automated. LinkedIn is sensitive, understood, but at the time it was less sensitive. I was doing it manually because when they responded, I wanted to be able to respond back in like 1 minute or less. Mm-hmm. And when you automate it, the biggest gap with automation that I see, it's not bad with the automation on the outbound. Automation is fucking wonderful. If done right, it's wonderful. But the biggest gap I saw was when people are interested, the response time to that. Because if you have automation on the outbound and you have 3 people interested here and you're not fast, you're not automating that response, that's you. And if you're off, that could blow the relationship.
Yeah.
Like that right there, that gap there, not the automating outbound, the responding to the positive response as fast as possible. Right. So when I manually did it, they'd write back robot ? I'd be like, I'm right here. Right here. Yeah. Like what's the difference between you and Pavilion?
That's interesting.
It's interesting. Did you have to pay to get in? I'd answer their questions right there. So building these muscles, so to speak, of moving fast every day and manual. Now you say, like, how do I do it all? Mark, I've been going to the gym for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely I'm in agreement to answering your own stuff as far as in terms of automating. Maybe the first message, there's some level of automation you can use in order to pump it out. But I always thought too, though, interesting. I like your point where you say like, okay, well, even though I answer within a couple of seconds, it looks like automation. But then when they ask, right, then you say, no, you're doing the real. Mm-hmm. So I always sort of went and waited. Like I don't do it 5 seconds after. I wait like 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes. Sometimes, I don't know, I mistakenly wait a couple of days before I respond, but that's just because of my bandwidth and what else I'm doing. But it's like, I feel like there's definitely a science, there's psychology in that. And one of the things that I always employ too, with respect to timing in that regard, is like, if I see somebody open my email or if I see somebody, because you get those triggers or whatever, or if I see, I think an engagement, like if somebody engages on your post, I'm a true believer in like right away, you should respond. Because if you don't, then you probably are not going to be able to. You're going to forget, and there's going to be other stuff, and you're creating other content. And so, how do you keep up with it? But so I believe in doing it right away in that regard, so that you just keep the engagement going, right? Because it only lasts, on LinkedIn, it only have like a window of time where that's going to get really active, and it's going to push out to other people, and the algorithm has its own funky shit, right? But I totally,
it gets different every day, right? Like, what were you saying? Like, if you if you link in, if you link out, if you think about a link.
You know what I was thinking last night? I wish you would have came on Whiskey Wednesday, man, because you know Nelson, right, Gilliat?
Yeah, and you know what? Can I tell you something? I think he's a little extreme, but a lot of what he says, I agree with. I don't agree with the binary view, like yes or no. Like, I'm like, there's shades of gray.
Yeah.
But I do like that he's piquing people's interest. My favorite part about Nelson is he's like, the definition of spam is this, and I'm like Googling the definition of spam, and it is not that.
No.
In any of it's certainly not a Merriam-Webster.
Yeah. Well, he got his earful last night. I mean, he gave his opinion, and people have heard it before, and we could go round and round, and this episode is not really about him, but I was just thinking, because you are now marketing, and I always think, like,
how funny is that? How funny is that? That like I've never been in marketing in my life, and not only.
But why does it? But why is there a see? My problem with it all is people are separating it as sales, and this is what he does, right? He separates as sales and marketing. And now, like, the way you talk about it, you come from sales, you come from building companies, magazine, whatever, what was it, FedEx or something. And then, like, when you talk about marketing, and when you say, oh, I'm doing marketing, what I'm thinking and what I'm hearing is you're putting yourself out there on LinkedIn, you're building community, you're not doing SEO for Jared Robin. To me, like, marketing was always just SEO, and before SEO, it was print and TV ads and stuff like that, which everybody in the world now knows is kind of spammy or whatever, because Alexa's listening to you all the time and, like, putting shit on your screen, and that you didn't necessarily, you're talking to your wife about going to Disney World, and all of a sudden you got 15 ads about Disney World. But there's marketing, and there's the traditional, even digital marketing and stuff. And then they say, like, oh, here's a sales guy who is doing marketing, but your version of marketing is LinkedIn, whatever, other social, community, events, whatever. And I think the term marketing is now gotten so broad that sales is not still in this little cipher right here. Sales is a part of it. It overlaps the marketing piece, because in my eyes, I am marketing myself to land a sale. Call me a sales guy, call me a marketer. I don't fucking care, right? I'm trying to get revenue, right? I'm trying to solve a problem so somebody pays me for my solution, right? So that we could continue to next week, and I could pay my people, and so on and so forth. Like, we're all striving for the same thing. Why separate the two so much?
Why do you think we have the name RevGenius, bro? Like this is exactly the point. Why not Sales Genius? Well, because I don't want to be limiting.
Right.
Actually, I thought Sales Genius before RevGenius, as we were and then Revenue Genius. Then a friend goes RevGenius. That was the story. But, I mean, look at Max Alchester, right? Of Sales Hacker. He was in sales before he created Sales Hacker, and then he became the VP of marketing at the acquisition. Right. And to be clear, like, we split up marketing in two ways, and you could argue that, like, maybe even more. There's inbound marketing, which is the idea of social influencer marketing, dark social, community, organic social, like and content marketing, which is like a combination of blogging, but social media is under there. And then you have, like, demand gen and growth. Demand gen, more like outbound, like, dare I say, aligned with outbound, could be aligned with SDRs. Growth could be more technical. So, like, there's technical and there's non-technical marketing. Like, could be more technical, more thoughtful. But frankly, outside of SEO and, like, knowing how to buy paid ads, there's just, like, how could you become a growth marketer? It's just like becoming extra thoughtful about everything, right, Mark? Perfect example. Right. I'll give you like a growth marketing
still sales,
like hack. Like everybody that signs up for MSP and soon to be our website, when you sign up to an event, there's an automatic checkbox check that I want to become a member. And you can uncheck it, right? But
Yeah.
it's like automatically checked. So what do 80% of the people do? They say, fuck yeah, it's free. I want to become a member.
Yeah.
So now you have 100, 200 people at each event. You're gaining 50 a day. You're gaining 50 to 100 new members a day without doing anything. Well, you just did something, but you did one little thing. So growth is like getting leverage, like a low amount of things and a big amount of leverage. Sales is more one-to-one. And this is the first time I've said this, right? Like you're going out and now you could scale, you could send 100 to 100. And you can do that with growth market. You can do that with demand gen, like outbound, all of this. But like sales and some marketing tasks are like one-to-one. There's other marketing tasks that get you more leverage, right? Like you do one ad on LinkedIn and it could go to a lot. You do one little thing on your website, and growth and product for the people that are really sharp now are intertwined. And this is in the sense that when you signed up for LinkedIn back in the day, Mark, right? The second screen had every single, it said connect your address book, right? We've all been there. I don't know what it is today. It's been so long. And all the people were defaulted. So you just hit and go. Like 50% of the people must hit go. Their network fucking blew up. That's growth. But can a salesperson do that? Hell yeah. You know how creative salespeople are? They just need to know. So they can come up with the idea. Salespeople typically are the idea people for that type of shit. They're like, I just need to find somebody to actually do it. Salespeople are the biggest idea people, right? But they're also some of the most thoughtful. Like, Jared, when somebody comes on to RevGenius, wouldn't it be interesting if you automatically gave them a referral link and the first message in Slack, you said, hey, thanks for being here. Refer 3 of your friends, win a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Mark would come up with that idea. That's a growth market. That's a marketing idea. So like the idea, so today, and I put a comment in my post today on LinkedIn that said the best, and not even the best, good SDRs today are better than average marketers. Like, and I'm looking in my LinkedIn group, and you know who's spamming more? SDRs versus marketers. Marketers are. They're dropping more fucking content, more check out my GT review. For every one SDR, there's probably 2 marketers that are trying to be sly about it. I'm not even kidding.
I think about like RevGenius, right? And you kind of touched on it with like paid advertising and things like that. Those all feel like interruptions, right? Because like nobody wants to be advertised to, but like the way RevGenius is built, right? Like all you do is deliver insane amounts of value to the community, right? And the side effect of that is you're lifting other people up, like within that community. Like live cold calling is a great example of that. And then they just
We have that today at 11 a.m.
Yeah, there
Mark's
you go.
going on.
11 a.m. You've got
Zach,
people
are you
that
on too?
become, not this week, next week, evangelists for the community, right? And then all of a sudden it's like you see RevGenius everywhere. And like that's the beauty of it to me, is it just feels so organic. Like even if those things are happening behind the scenes, right? Like some of the outbound messaging, but like people just want to be associated with it and, you know, kind of come into that orbit, if you will. And I think that's a beautiful thing about the way you've structured the community.
Thank you. And I'm speaking later today, the CMX thing. The whole topic is building trust in communities. Okay. This is like the biggest no-brainer topic that's the hardest to speak on. Like how do you take it? Like which direction do you go? Because everybody knows, duh. And how I'm taking it, I'm calling it started from a vibe. Now we're here. Anybody who was here early knows what I mean. But it starts with me, frankly, and the energy put out to others to like have this giving mentality. What it also is important that people know that I am them or I was them within recent memory. Okay. The empathy is fucking real, to the point the person like crying or whatever, like that I'm helping, knows that I've probably been through it worse. like whatever they're going through, and they're like, sorry. So that's the first point. I've been in your shoes. I've carried the bag. I've went from not SaaS to SaaS, being the number one person, and I was hard to get in. And then I've gone without product market fit and out getting paid on time, and awful managers, fired for bringing on 1.7 million in revenue in 7 months, Mark. 1.7 million in 7 months. That ain't so bad, right?
No,
Not
I did
good
a
enough.
deal. I did a deal with my old company, the last full-time company I worked for. I did a deal. It was 1.7 million. It was the biggest deal they ever seen. And on
Let
it,
you go.
I closed it, and then I left like 3 months later because they changed my plan, my comp plan. They weren't going to pay me on that what I would have normally under the normal plan, I would have got paid on 1.7. I would have made like ridiculous money. They changed it. They said, "Oh, we're going to take that out of your contract, that deal, because that requires a lot of stuff and it's not going to ship until like next year or whatever. And so we're going to take that out of your plan, and we're going to just pay you a small percentage separately." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, you're going to pay me 15 when you would have paid me 60 over the course of 3 months? No, I'm out. I'll see you. I don't need that."
So that happens more often with services company than SaaS. I've seen. Was it a services company?
No, it was a building products company that decided they wanted to change my plan. And like,
so
the money was the product had already been sold. It's eventually going to go out. I should have been paid so much more money than what they wanted to pay me. And I was just like, I'm not doing that. No way.
So it starts with that empathy, and then it's everyone realizing, like when I lost my job in COVID, everybody lost their jobs in COVID, right? Like, so I wasn't like anything different.
No.
Instead of finding a job, I was just like fucking helping people. I'm like, this is mayhem out here. I could try my absolute fucking hardest to get a job and fall flat. So might as well try my absolute fucking hardest to help others, because I think there's a better chance. And frankly, I think some of these people probably are better than me too. Or better for the roles, right? Like, and so I just started helping, and they're like, what? And then this energy came up, and that set the pace, right? But like, it's important to understand, like, taking money from sponsors could potentially erode trust if done the wrong way, and we felt all sorts of that. And like at channeling in Slack too much, and we felt that, and right now we're restructuring our Slack. Like we're not going to at channel that much, certainly less than weekly, maybe monthly.
I guess that could be considered spam within this community, I guess, if you're ad channeling, especially if it's anybody can have access to that.
It's
like
annoying.
I don't have access to that anymore.
No, nobody has access to that. But like, it's no matter what it is, it's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're getting that alert, and it's not even relevant to you potentially. I think one of the things that I enjoy about community, especially RevGenius, I think is great, is that there are so many people that whether sales or marketing, that before these communities, right, they were like sitting and loathing in their own misery, and they didn't have anybody to talk to about it, and they didn't know how to get out of that funk, and they didn't know, they didn't have people they could access that, like you said, are going through those things too and understand and have made their way out of it. And so now you have somewhere you can go and feel comfortable talking to people about it and opening up about it. And you didn't have that before. I mean, yes, you had Slack and you have Discord and you have LinkedIn, but those places are very, very public. And when you have a community like RevGenius, and you can go into a little room and you can do a panel or you jump on a panel discussion, or you can go to like TNS, like let's just say, for example, and bawl your eyes out because you just lost your job that day. And then the next day you got 10 emails with job like interviews set up just because you opened up on a public forum the night before is fucking amazing, dude. Like, just what community has been able to do for people that otherwise wouldn't have been coming out of their shell, right? Like, people are scared. People are scared to speak up, to say what they really feel, or or admit that, especially in a public forum, because how does that make you look? They're so afraid of what other people think. But I think inside Slack, inside the RevGenius community, there's so many people have come out of their shell and have had opportunities that they wouldn't have otherwise had without that community. So I to me, that's where that group and you and what you've done is just, hands down. I think one of the things I wanted to ask before we run out of time,
Please.
and I'm sure you have a lot to say on this, is what's next for either Jared or RevGenius?
Yeah, if I showed you this big whiteboard for,
we don't want to see your wireframe. We want your opinion.
No. The whiteboard of like where our content's going, but like
Sneak peek.
for Jared, I'm getting paperwork back for a few advisor roles that I'll be adding soon. Some awesome companies early stage. My mind is ruminating on the next idea as well, but like not like RevGenius has so much more growth to do. So from an organization standpoint, we're doubling down, tripling down on organization, both how Slack is structured, but how our content's structured. So you see the LinkedIn Live cold calling, that's going to be a mainstay weekly. But we're also going to do something at that level for RevOps, something at that level for Outbound 2.0, which you've probably seen, and Marketing Mondays. So like to hit inbound marketing, to hit like a little more like growth marketing, to hit RevOps, and then we're going to have big intimate stuff under. What that means is as many people that want could come. It's just not broadcasted on LinkedIn Live. It's more community, like be a member. So like workshops and stuff. An example of this is like, weekly cold call blitzes where you could have everybody in there and it doesn't have to be broadcasted on LinkedIn Live. So you can bring your team, you can bring all of CellX. We should probably talk about that offline. You all be great. No cost. Under that, a level of actual community events. What's actual community events mean? So like, could be mentorship, could be an SDR boot camp for free, could be more intimate workshops. It's a level where we don't care to necessarily monetize it. It's just like an X factor in any community. I'm sure we could figure out a way to monetize it, but like I don't give a shit. Like meet and greet, like the random Zoom drops, all that, and then Rev League under that. So like you have sales, it goes to Rev League SDR. Sure, we'll have an AE program as well. We're going to relaunch. After Tom left, we took a little bit of a break from the SDR Pro program. Launched the boot camp with Caroline, who's wonderful. We're going to so I restructured like how we compensate everybody, whatever, made it like really interesting for like a top person to come in. And we have somebody that we'll be announcing in a week or two for the SDR Pro, SDR leadership perhaps as well. AE under marketing, what like under Outbound 2.0, realistically, that's going to come next, having like a demand gen and growth Rev League. Under RevOps, having a RevOps Rev League, like as programs, charge like, let's say $1,000 for a structured 10-week course and access to materials to all the courses on demand, right? So if we have 5 different Rev Leagues, you get one 10-week course live, but like, hey, I want to learn about the SDRs, you could read through it. You'll have access to that. And then where I want to go from that is say, okay, well, it's not 1,000, it's 2,000 a year, but you could take 4 cohorts a year, 4 10-week cohorts, as we get more granular, right? Like, hey, it's not just SDR, it's like SDR at this stage. It's not just RevOps at this stage, and build that granularly, and then increase focus on placing people with jobs, but specifically having an easy business model around that. Will we do recruiting? We might white label it. Will we do it in-house? I don't want to. I might say like, fine, we'll do 25%, but it's Chris Gannon doing the fulfillment or something. Sure. We're gonna have like using our job platform, have a very easy business model, like $5K a year for do it yourself. Whoever's looking to find whoever's not curated. That's essentially what LinkedIn is, but this is less.
What do you think the recruiting world thinks of community job boards?
I think the recruiting world is fine with everything. I think they're making a lot of money. Community job boards. I think the recruiters that are smart lean into communities and try to partner with communities. So I think they look at it as a way to have a new channel, to tell you the truth. Like, especially if they go into a community like RevGenius, they're like, you kind of are helping with jobs, but I don't really see anything on your site. Like,
yeah, but there's so I'm thinking like, there's these there's companies out there, especially companies who are tied to this tech industry and what have you, who are now getting smart and saying like, why am I going to pay an extra 7% or 17% to a recruiter when I could just go into the RevGenius job board or the SDR cohort, or I could call up Jared and be like, Jared, you got 2 good SDRs. You know what I mean? Like, and tomorrow they're outfitted.
You know who I helped place last week? Like, geez, who's listening to this? But I helped Amelia. Amelia, as well as somebody else who's who you've seen announced this week. You could probably guess, but like,
I don't know. I must be lost.
People didn't. Help get new jobs by calling me.
No, I know. Hey, I'm a product of that. I remember.
Oh yeah.
I was an independent rep starting in March of 2020, and
Mark, I got more stuff for you.
And then it was, what was it, in the summer of 2021? I just happened to be on. I forget. I just happened to be talking to you or whatever. We were going back and forth, and I said, let me call him up, and I call him up, and I say, hey, Jared. He's like, what's up? I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking about I want to work for somebody instead of myself. And you're like, really?
Like, you seem like a Steve Schmidt guy.
You're like, that's exactly what you said. You're like, I'm gonna hook you up with Steve Schmidt.
Feels right.
Yeah, and then it was like I was working for him like 3 days later. I was like, that was amazing.
This is the best thing ever. I'm like,
I mean, I think that's
I knew his energy. I knew your energy.
That's just what it was. It's like, I think about that. I think about, like, how when you get a job or when you're posting your job on LinkedIn, like when you're changing your profile, whatever, and then it asks you, it's amazing how it became a button, right? But it asks you, did LinkedIn help you get this job? And to a certain degree, I don't know if I could attribute my relationship with you through LinkedIn. It was more like RevGenius. And then I kind of found I TNS, and then I found RevGenius, and then I found you. But it was, I guess you could consider that LinkedIn a little bit. But the crazy thing is like, I don't really believe moving forward in my career that I'll ever need to write another resume, or that my body of work is right here. My body of work is in my profile, a lot of it, and my body of work is my referrals, people who know me who are going to refer me. And it's like, I feel like that is even beyond what you do in terms of helping people get jobs, SaaS Bros, RevGenius job board, whoever job board. I think building a body of work is what's going to, give you the door open, to opportunities that, you don't want to send your resume through an ATS, because where's it going to go? It's not going to get kicked out, right? It's you're going to wind up not getting the interview. Whereas I'll never do that ever again. Like, my first call, if I ever need another job, is going to be to Jared.
So 2 points to this. One, do people need to pay recruiters to hire? What companies with strong social presences don't need to pay recruiters to hire. Chili Piper is the perfect example. Okay. Hiring managers early stage with strong personal brands might not have the budget to do it, even if they wanted to. So they have to do it, right? So, but I'm going to give you what a lot of companies are doing. ZoomInfo is one of them. They're giving juicy referral bonuses to their reps for bringing people on. ZoomInfo's reps, they sell getting hired to ZoomInfo sometimes more than they sell ZoomInfo. I spoke to another company. I said, what's your internal referral bonus if somebody gets hired? You know what it was? $8,000.
Oh,
what?
Okay.
So I thought Steve was giving a lot. Steve told me $1,000 if you get somebody. I thought that was the highest I ever heard.
So $8,000 is the highest I ever heard. It's quite frequent to have over 1,000 now, right? Yes. So what they're doing is they're saying F the 20% or 25% recruiters, but they're still paying for it, right, in referrals. So what I said to that company was, just give me the $8,000. I'll do it. Because that's interesting, right? Like, if you think about it, on $100,000 salary, let's assume this is what the base is, that would be 20 to 25K. 20 to 25K. And so 8 is under half, right? So that's all interesting. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, if you have a personal brand, you'll never need a resume again. Couldn't agree more. Okay. But that doesn't mean you're going to know the best opportunities for you, right?
Right.
At all. You're going to know who comes to you. You know who comes to you? Not the best opportunities, Mark.
True.
Not the best. Who comes to me? Weird opportunities. Like I've never even heard of you.
Right.
And I'm kind of scared to talk. So having an intermediary community or whatever help qualify for the candidate, like with one of those people, their list of who they wanted to work for, I was like, ugh. like those are all the people that came in. I'm like, and I wasn't like they were fine. They would have been great jobs. Like if they announced that they went there, that would have been fine. But there's a reason why they went through the process in a week and decided like this, because there was just something that hit a little different. You know what I mean? Hit a little different. Yeah. And now their whole fucking career. I'm amped, fucking amped on the combination of both of them, because like it's going to be a match made in heaven.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
With great products, with an awesome up, and also keep in mind, as an IC, especially, leaders might like be reading the tea leaves a little more. I know what's going to happen in the space and what the space looks like, and like the behind the scenes, more than any fucking IC out there. I'd be willing to bet.
Yeah.
Be willing to bet. I'm going on a little bit of a limb. It's a bet. Understood. There's somebody out there that knows a ton in VC. But like companies confide, like this is gonna happen, or that, or whatever. And I also know the space, right? Like I see like they get thrown a company on the radar. They don't know the three competitors, who the three competitors are using, the differences in the three competitors. They know the one, they research the one, they know the names of the other ones because they do their due diligence before the interviews, but they don't really know the value. The best people going in know the value props, but like, do they really dive into that level of knowing the product? I fucking use some of these products.
Yeah.
Right. And I could say like exactly why I used it. Why. And so if you have somebody helping guide that sees, has court vision, so to speak. So again, 1,000% agree. You don't need a resume. Like your body of work is that, but you do need a guide sometimes. You do need a guide.
You need a plug.
So take your no resume and get plugged somewhere. Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened with Mark.
Yeah. And then, this new thing just came out of, just, doing good work for a client and them recommending me to somebody else, and them just coming in and, asking me if I'm interested in, another opportunity. I mean, it's business, right? Business is business. You got to chase your dreams and chase your, your income and, put food on the table. And if you want things, like I always think about, people ask about success or whatever. To me, success is the options, having options, like I had this thing on my wall before I renovated that talked about, it was a bunch of lines about what success means to me. And it was interesting. And I can't seem to find it. I don't know, when I renovated, I threw it out, I think. But one of the things on there was like, that I had added to it, because it wasn't something I wrote, was success to me was having options. And when I mean options, I know on a very basic level, maybe even like monetary level, it's the idea that, if I want to go to Sparks or Old Homestead Steakhouse, I can, but I choose to go to McDonald's, because I want McDonald's, I like Big Macs, right? I mean, just like having options from a monetary perspective. And then success to me is, again, the second level, the options is what you were kind of talking about earlier, like maybe having that extension of like, oh, well, I have the option to invest my money in this company, invest my money in that company, stay with this company, not stay with that company, options, you're a success. You could be successful and yet still quit a company because you didn't see your future there. That's not failure, right? That's you taking that option to leave because you're better than that, or you can be better, or you want to be, a better version of yourself, and you didn't see yourself being that that place. So you opt out and move there. To me, that's owning your own success, because you're saying, I want to be successful. I want more. I want this or I want that. I'm not going to just sit there and dwell on, being in pain because I'm there. I'm going to do something about it. So options, that to me, there's more to it. I could go on and on and on, but
what if I challenge you and said, what if success, look at it meta, right? Because options sounds like it's kind of external.
No, it's internal. For me, it's like, I choose to get up in the morning or not, would be
100%. Okay. Yeah, no. So understood. But, where I'm going with this, you have options right now, no matter what you achieve outside, right? Like if it's internal, Mark, shut the fuck up. You have it right now.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it's internal. Why don't you have it right now? Why don't you have those options right now? If it's truly internal. Now you're saying, well, I need to. No, it's not internal, bro. You're going against what you said. So what I'm saying, like, my definition of success is getting to a point where everything I do and receive is love.
Sure.
Like, period. Like, I can be wherever as long as I'm content. Like, with love in my heart being wherever. Geez, man. Like I can have all the options in the world and have
I get you. I feel you on that. No, I definitely do, because I feel like that's sort of, no, that's where I'm at. Like, I want to be helpful. I do things because I like to do them. I love doing it regardless of the outcome. I enjoy my day in and day out. Like, it's not it's not spam to me, as tipping off of our conversation last night. Like, I do the things that I do because I know at the end of the day, I'm helping my client, I'm helping my company, I'm helping a mentor or a mentee. I mean, that's the other thing about RevGenius. Like, in terms of exposure and whatever, people reach out to me on there. Like, my wife thinks it's funny that I have like this huge following in India. Like, I got all these people that love me in India, and it's like, but who cares? It's they just, because I was honest with them, they now trust me and they look to me for advice and things like that, and it's rewarding. That's rewarding.
Yeah.
Like I always said, like, even as a sales leader, why do you want to be a sales leader? Because I want to help other people, younger or older than me, succeed and feel that serotonin release when they close a deal or set a meeting or whatever it is. Like, that's what I used to get off on when I was first in a sales manager 25 years ago. Every time that one of my reps would drop the phone and ring the bell, I mean, that was joy to me, like, just watching other people win or watching another person get a job. Like Mayank, that guy Mayank from India. He's one of those guys who constantly tells me how much I've impacted him in his life. And I can't, that is more than money. Way more.
I'm going to be a reference for somebody in India who went through Rev League and is getting his job checked. I'm like, can you please, like, yes, absolutely. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Cool.
Well, you touch a lot of people when you don't think about it. When you don't, it's just, you just do it.
And what you both do. And I have more experience with Mark, Zach, but like we've started to build a relationship, through cold calling, right? Yeah. Building trust is something that Mark has done since the day I've met him. And you do it by giving and by helping others. And sometimes that's as simple as talking to others.
Yeah.
It could be that simple. Sometimes it's as simple as responding to a message in a positive way.
Yeah.
Like, keep going, bro, or gal. And I know he's done that. And because he's built that trust, people from India and America and other countries.
I think I have more in India than I do in America.
Well, Mark, you and I both.
Well, it's because they're so receptive. I mean, they're so like, those. I think that one of the most amazing things I think that has happened since COVID, other than people, you know, having this ability to work from home and all this kind of good stuff. But from a community perspective is, I wouldn't have otherwise known any of those people or understood that those people aren't very much different than I used to think they were very different. Right. But when you get an opportunity to talk with them, I mean, they may live a different life culturally, financially, right? But they're still human.
Yeah.
And they still feel, they still love, they still hate, they still cry, they still laugh, you know? And so I've been enjoying that, actually, getting to know people from all over the world. I think that's one of the biggest, hugest things that work from home and work from the internet, if you will, has given the world, and community has done it. I think, you know, whether it's RevGenius or I actually just got interviewed for a Pavilion, quite honestly. I just got to pay the money and I'm in.
It is.
I'm in Reforge, and the reason why I joined Reforge versus another community was because, I mean, if I wanted a community for the people, I have the people, right? But the learnings, like, I just paid $2,000 to join another community. Why? Because, like, frankly, I'm going to learn growth marketing, Mark. You know, we talked about like going to marketing. I'm going all in, Mark.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And we don't have a program on the level of them. And I want to learn. You know who's running that? Or who runs Reforge? The first head of growth of HubSpot. Mark Roberge hired him, said he's the best head of growth ever. I want to learn from this school of thought. Like, and I want to come out. Reforge is wonderful. Wow. It's wonderful. It's $1,995 a year. Wow. And you could go to 4 programs. So, like, after that, you know what I'm going to go to? I'm going to go to growth and retention. Yeah. Or I'm going to go to retention and activation. I'm going to do all this stuff that RevGenius not yet teaches you. Pavilion, I don't think they teach you all, but like these critical things. So that's why I actually joined another community as a head of a community. It's a great community. I'm learning.
This actually brings up an interesting question. Do you think that, you know, because there, like, if I go and I look at my Slack, right, I have my company, I've got Dark Social, Hype Cycle, Rev League, TNS, RevGenius, and I haven't even joined Whiskey Wednesday Reviting because I feel like I didn't want another one actually just disturbing me during the day, but I probably will. Do you feel like, you know, there's definitely a bit of dilution you go through? Like, you've got 29,000 people in RevGenius. You probably only maybe have 1,000 people actively engaging on any given day. You know, do you feel like
it depends on how you define engagement, but yeah.
True. I appreciate that. You're reaching still the 30,000 that are there every day. Every message is reaching.
Because there's events that happen outside of there, like community transcends platform. But yeah, if you're just looking at Slack.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Definitely, because you have those events. You have even things like this because people who know Zach and I or whatever, or know, you know, Eddie and Jesse from last night, or any other thing that goes on during the week, you know, that you can join LinkedIn Live. Yeah. But it's like there's a level of dilution and there's a level of these, like, when you think about growth, like, do you even consider the fact that out of the 1,000 people that might join in the next month, you know, that they just clicked the button and they were like, sure, I'll join. And then, you know, what do you consider that member versus a member who becomes like me, like a coach in Reveling, you know, like there's a huge dichotomy of people.
So to be clear on what we're doing and what we're building, that's different than any of these others. I'm certain it's different than any of these others that don't do this every day. I suspect, like, when I say every day, like full time, 1,000% certain, right? Like 1,000,000% certain, just because I know the market so well. Fairly certain that even the ones that do it, like, we're getting to this level, having an engagement score of everybody. And Mark, what you said is expecting no recalibration. Like, hey, you just throw it in, no recalibration. Fucking kidding me? We recalibrate every single day. I just talked to you about redoing the channel stuff and doing less ad channels to get more people active, to give more people value.
Right.
Yeah.
So do I think there's dilution? We came out because there was too much dilution.
Right. Okay.
There was too much dilution. There was 50 events every day, 50 emails. And we wanted to create one single spot. And that's why we still have a promote your events channel, which we're going to sunset. because it's just become spam. But we wanted to be that single spot.
Yeah.
But
I noticed you changed some things yesterday, because all of a sudden I got into a group, and then all of a sudden I go into group and I'm seeing the numbers rolling out, like all the different people joining.
So check this out. Oh man,
almost broke my Slack yesterday.
So, oh really? My apologies.
Yeah, I go on it and I'm like, what is this? Like, why is this spinning like this? Like adding all these people.
So we brought everybody into certain channels.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's awesome.
So like my first slide in this presentation later is why the fuck is another sales community needed at the beginning of RevGenius, right? Like why? And it goes into, well, this is why people are trying to build community. Think business model first.
Yeah.
Okay, they're thinking business model first. You could think of some off the top of your head too, or to cater to executives, just to executives. That you could think of some, or to do SEO, right? They all have, not all, but when we started, it seemed like they all had an ulterior motive. Okay, or to stroke egos. Mark knows at least one that's like that, and you know, I'm not going to have names. So, but what about the people in the trenches?
Yeah,
that have done it.
That's exactly the thing. Like, I credit full on, like, RevGenius changed my life, right? Like doing just the cold call event, right? That was, for me personally, that was like a jumping off point in terms of LinkedIn, right? And kind of having a voice. Yeah, no, it really was like I was starting to, like, you know, post regularly and do some things, but like now, like, I've got some feedback, like real time, from people that I've impacted, right? Through, you know, like coaching sessions and like going to talk to different groups and things like that. And it comes back tenfold, and it's incredible. When you talk about giving, like, that's the thing to me also, like, is seeing other people kind of like have that light go off is the most incredible thing. And without a platform or a community like that, right, to be a part of, like, that never would have existed for me, because I didn't have, like, at the time, like $2,000 to go invest in a membership, right? To go through all these courses and do all these things.
My company paid for me, by the way, for that.
But you know, to that end, like the inroads that you're creating for people that might not have an opportunity, like, that's the big thing that I see, right, from an IC perspective. It's very much leveling the playing field, you know, and giving people access to, you know, people like yourself and other people in the community who have been there and done that, and they can learn from that and then apply that, you know, outwardly, and continue that cycle of giving.
Can I present my presentation later in 10 minutes? Hear your feedback?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, I think you would talk, when you were talking before about kind of like the segmenting of the different things you want to do at RevGenius, the different areas like AE, SDR, marketing, RevOps, so on. I think that's one of the things that what interested me in Pavilion was the level of people and potential education I might be able to receive there. Is what attracted me to it, right? They have like a CRO academy. They have a group just dedicated to CROs. These are the elite, you know, high level VP marketing, VP of sales. Then you become CRO, whatever the combination of the two. I feel like, you know, when I look at even the dollar amount it costs, I think to myself, well, gee, you know, the nominal price there compared to what I could potentially gain or learn or even have connection to, like, I could find a mentor there. As much as I'm a mentor to other people, maybe with less experience, I think Pavilion felt to me like I might be able to find some people or find somebody there who could support me in my next level of growth. And I think, you know, it's still a community and there's still opportunity there, but like, I just, like you said, going. Like, why are you going over there? You want to learn from that dude, right? Like, you want to learn stuff. And I felt like, you know, I think you could do that. You can look at communities like that. You say, what do I really want to get out of it? It's like, why do you take a job? What do you want to accomplish there? Like, what do you want to get out of this? Like, and if you want to genuinely get something out of it, then you would probably genuinely give as well, because you're invested, you're vested, you're intentional about it. And I think that's the amazing thing about, you know, these different groups. And I'd like to see more specialization, even more so here.
So
great idea.
We're doing that, and we're going to charge, and we're going to have a unique point of view. One thing I didn't point out is that our point of view is going to be to like push this integration that you spoke about, Mark, between sales and marketing. Mm-hmm. It's to think like, hey, should outbound be aligned under marketing? Hint, it should. It should. You could argue whatever, but like let's look at this the stats, right? Like let's expound. But yeah, in RevOps, like our RevOps series is going to be what the fuck is RevOps? Like, what the fuck is RevOps?
Well, that's a whole nother
RevOps people there.
That's a whole nother.
No, but we're having a full series on that, right? So our thought is, for the networking and stuff, have a free access point. That's a big deal for everybody, whether you're a CRO or an SDR. And then have RevLeague be that learning level that you could plug into. If you want that exclusive learning experience, you could come in and learn. And then, and have those distinct lanes. So Pavilion's done a great job in a lot of ways. Pavilion University is going to be cool, I guess. It's definitely structured. And we want to help people with like the 0 to 1 or the 1 to 2 mindset, scale their company, not just like learn how to do a job, but learn how to scale. And that's a big focal point for us with who we have instructing. So I'm pretty hype.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Pretty hype.
So let's
plug RevCon.
Yeah, plug RevCon.
Yeah.
RevGenius.com/RevCon. We have over 4,000, probably about 4,300 or 4,500 people by now that are signed up. It's digital, so you don't have to buy a plane ticket and hotels. You could just sit on your couch and get a shit ton of value. We have some awesome speakers, from Mark Roberge to Melissa, the Chief Creative Officer at ClickUp, to Larry Long, who we all love, and Stevie Case, the CRO of Anta, and dozens upon dozens of others. October 12th and 13th, free.
Is there any inkling to do it live? I mean, I would imagine so. With
there was, but frankly, there was. But after feeling like 3 major events in September live,
you wouldn't get the turnout.
I don't want to do it in September. Then do we do it in October? Frankly, I'm not as sure I want to do it live as before, like feeling this year's, because this year everybody came in person. Like last year, like it was a little whippy woppy, whatever. But this year, everybody showed up in person. It's probably the first time under umbrella, like everyone showed up. And if we were to do it live, I'd have to create value in different ways than what's already done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's redundant. And I don't want to throw something that's redundant that's going to require that much legwork.
Yeah, it is a lot of legwork. I mean, you got events and like coordinating with other people and other vendors who they may be able to support you in those. I mean, there's so much involved in a live
it could
event.
cost us 6 figures.
Yeah, that too.
Just for the logistics, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, cool. Well, Jared, really appreciate you having on the show this morning. Jumping in and kind of peeling back the layers a little bit and give us some insight into where you're at, where you're heading, what your vision is. Very cool. So if people aren't involved in the RevGenius community yet, how do they do that?
Type RevGenius anywhere and see what comes up and follow the links, like including Google, LinkedIn, whatever. RevGenius.com. If you're a guessing person, you guessed right. Hit the sign up button. You'll see a form. Fill out the form. You'll notice that we don't take any money, and this is a big thing as well. And then you can join the Slack. You know, our mission is not business model first. We believe the business model will follow clearly if we focus on the people first. And I don't want to take shots at anybody else because everybody's doing a great job at this. But this is our point of view. Mission is to bring creativity and inspiration to the whole revenue space. And I can't do that. We can't do that if we don't let everybody in the space.
Right.
And the space is just going to be the same old with great communities with phenomenal business models. The mission is just a little bigger to impact. That's all. And keep in mind, the platform you all are watching this on today didn't charge you anything, right?
Yeah.
For all this. That's the meta level, right? Thinking ahead, when you do that and it's that big, and 30,000 is not 300 million or 3 billion, granted, or 30 billion or whatever it is.
Don't need to be.
It doesn't need to be, but that's how you have the biggest impact. And I'm doing this for impact. I started on the floor, now I'm here. Let's go.
Yeah. Love it.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for joining, man. We really appreciate it.
I don't pay rent, whatever. No, I do. But thank you all for having me.
Thanks, Jared.
When are you going to buy a house and get out of the city, man?
we're looking upstate now.
Nice.
I'd have to move some finances around to make it happen, but we are looking probably in like the Kingston, Woodstock, Saugerties area.
Awesome, man.
That's definitely if you know,
place.
you know.
Yeah.
Like and not Woodstock, because Woodstock's happened. Like I'm looking at Saugerties and Kingston in particular. Like those towns are dope.
Yeah. Exit 20,
yeah.
exit 19. Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know the exit number, but like Ulster County.
Well,
Ulster County is what's up.
I went to SUNY Albany for school.
Okay.
So I drove the Turnpike every weekend, you know, and my wife is from up there. So like that's how when I think of Kingston, that's 19 or 17, and then Saugerties is 18, you know, like so that. I just think
so Saugerties is interesting. My partner and I were looking at it as an investment. We'll Airbnb the heck out of it. We just want to be able to stay there one weekend a month, and like during the weekdays or whatever.
Let's go to Saratoga.
But like that area is the area to buy, and we're a little late, but we're not all the way late. So hopefully it works.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for everybody listening. Awesome.
Of course. That was fun. We'll do it again.
Shout out Postal for the swag. Let's go.
Postal.io. Word up.
Bye, everybody.
Right.
Have a nice day.
See you next week.